kind of sad about this song, and I'll explain why in just a minute. Excuse me, in just a minute. Number 10 on my fantasy playlist of December 20th, 1981. Sort of a compelling record in its own right for some reason. I got it way up there on my fantasy playlist. It went up to number 11 on Billboard's Hot 100, but I got it up to number 10. Fantasy playlist of December 20th, 1981. Yesterday's Song by Neil Diamond. Number 10 on my fantasy playlist. And that's from the album. I wrote down the name of the album. It was his 14th album called On the Way to the Sky. And this is kind of sad because this record really marks the commercial and creative decline of Neil Diamond. And it's really a shame, but it does happen if you. And like Neil Diamond had a longevity like you wouldn't believe. I mean, 1966, Solitary Man was his first hit record. Wasn't very big. Went to number 55 in 66, although it was re-released in 70, became a much bigger hit. And then Cherry Cherry came out around the summer, early fall of 1966. And that put Neil Diamond on the map big time. Both of those songs, Solitary Man and Cherry Cherry, produced by the legendary songwriters Jeff Berry and Ellie Greenwich. As a matter of fact, Jeff Berry and Ellie Greenwich, they sang backup on the euphoric Cherry Cherry by Neil Diamond off the Bang record label. But now we get into 1981, and after this song, well, first off, let's start with the good news about the early 80s. Neil Diamond, early 80s. 1981 was a very successful year for Neil Diamond. In the fall of 1980, he had that hit, Love on the Rocks. That went to number 2. Can't read my chicken scratch, but it was way up there. Then Hello Again came out around early 1981, a very slow song by Neil Diamond, went to number 6. And then America, spring, summer of 81, all over flooded the AM top 40 radio stations and the FM ones as well. That went to number 4. Or was it number 8? I can't read. Well, it was a top 10. I'll just put it like that. And then yesterday's song went to number 11 for Neil Diamond as 1981 comes to a close, and that's it. After this record, Neil Diamond would have only 7 more charted hit records. Only 2 of them went top 40. One of them went top 10, and that was Heartlight from, I believe it was from the movie E.T. that came out in 1982. So it's real sad about how it just kind of, the creative and the commercial decline of Neil Diamond. Of course, the 80s was a totally different decade from the 60s and the 70s as well. Got to keep that in mind. Times change, music changes, styles changes. And, well, anyway, I'm not going to go into all that. Neil Diamond at number 10 with Yesterday's Song.